Hey, my name's Wonder Singh. Today I'm going to introduce Nam Son Way. It is wetland and conservation and this project. And then these are the overview of the and significance, the unique ecological features Nam Son Way's landscape includes stream ponds, mudflat, and windbreak gulfs forming and rich ecological mosaic. And the conservation challenges. The urban development pressures threaten these natural signatures and calling for balanced preservation strategies. And this is the Nam Son Way's location, the physical setting, and hydrology. Its geographical location. The Nam Son Way is located on the Yuen Long Plain, the low-lying area formed by Pearl River and hydrologic influence. It's shaped by river from Tai Musan and the tidal cycles creating mudflat and vegetal migrants. And then these are the cultural histories, human adaptation and heritage. The human adaptation to wetland dates back to 6,000 BCE with resources near Pingshan, and the cultural and the heritage, ecological stewardship links to cultural identity, supporting heritage education and tourism in the region today. And these are the Nam Son Way's ecological value, the biodiversity and conservation importance. The Nam Son Way is a key habitat hosting tens of thousands of birds, including black-faced spoonbills, diverse wetland ecosystems. The site features freshwater and brackish ponds and many kind of birds, and the conservation and management protect habitat and for local and global biodiversity. Then these are the urban challenges from urban expansion, the land use conflict, the environmental threat, and need for sustainable governance. And then these are the historical events and planning controversies and the legal milestones. Just like in 1992, the golf course and intellectual housing purpose faced widespread public options and was initially rejected by authorities. And public debates on green branding discussions questions the authorities of green branding compared to actual conservation outcomes in urban development. And this I'm going to introduce the project objective, goals for conservation and education, the habitat protection, the educational programs, the eco-friendly tourism, just like the natural trails, bird watching platforms, and visitor centers promote minimal environmental impact tourism. The community engagement volunteers program foster community ownership and long-term commitment to conservation efforts. And these are the project significance, impact on biodiversity and society. That's like the biodiversity conservation, the environmental education, the ecotourism benefits, the integrated conservation efforts. And this is the future outlook, the adaptive planning and climate reliance, the climate change threat, the adaptive management strategies, the joint effort of governments, the NGOs, and communities for long-term wetland sustainable, the education and stewardship. Then the conclusion, recap and call to action. Challenges to solutions, education and community engagement, and to the future, stakeholders must collaborate and preserve Nam Son Way as a living landscape for future generations. Okay, next one. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Chen Check-in. Today I'm going to talk about the Nam Son Way Ecological Conservation and Education Park, and also how to preserve the nature, the environmental awareness. So our vision, we have three visions, which is transformative development visions, and also the sustainable holistic approach, also the community engagement, and also educations to create a urban space that's the foster community involvement. Also, we have the dual purpose design for nature and people, and so we have a wet land park habit, and also the living classroom experiences, and also the active farm education, and also the promoting ecological literacy for combining the park design, forester, and ecological literacy and sustainable living among visitors. And for the first part, we have a wetland park and a world-class nature hotspot, and habitat restoration and management, and diverse wetland features, and migratory bird sanctuary, and also the conservation and education during the wetland park to promote biodiversity conservations. And for the smart management and public engagement, first of all, we have conservation and monitoring to monitor birds and waters, also the quiet zones for the wildlife and for people, and also the smart water management and the sustainable visitor infrastructure, and also the environmental education programs for the students and also citizens. And for the aggravating values through the agriculture, we have some sustainable farming practicals, and also hand-on food productions, and the core agricultural values, and community and culture appreciations. For setting a new benchmark for the community living, the sustainable infrastructures designed we will use some eco-friendly materials, also the innovative green techniques, and also the community connects to the nature, and also the environmental stewardship, and also the education. For the engineering solution to sustainable Nam Son Wai Education Park. So for the solution during the planning phase, the wetland conservation focus will emphasize the wetland ecosystem protection to preserve the biodiversity, and also the low carbon sustainable design, like some bamboo to minimize the environmental impact, also the community engagement and education, and ecological and climate also importance. The conservation and flood resiliency and strategies, we have conservation and late planning, and biodiversity restoration and flood restorations in infrastructures, and also sustainable wetland hydrology to elevate the broad walks, and also nature water flow systems. And also the passive design strategies, and we will use a shading, reduce air condition, also renewable energy integrations, and also sustain material use, and also green roof benefits is to enhance insulation and support biodiversity. And also public success and assess public pathway and observation shelter, and the zoning, the noise and disturbance control, the community and engagement and also the conservations. The air noise pollution also we will contain in this project, dust suppressions, also the noise management. To manage a wastewater control system, also the waste storage and recycle while our project, and also the water levels regulation, and also energy efficient system. Also, we will have some visitor flow control to limit the visitors, also the education To conclusion, we have some education insight and also legacy for ecological ship and also the enhance biodiversity and sustainable.
I'm Yijing Qiao Samson, and I'm going to talk about the major elements around the surrounding area. So I'm going to identify the sensitive receivers and the concerns raised from each of these points. So residential development. The receivers would be the residents in the new Yunlong town, and as well as the local villages already existing. So the concerns is that the traffics and the more people and the overcrowding from the increased popularity and in privacy invasion due to as well as to the amount of people increased. So as well as that, the construction of our wetland park would pose concerns because all the dust and the vibrations could cause damage to the houses nearby. Some agricultural areas would be fish ponds and blackfish shrimp, where they are the basic living resources for us in living in these ponds. And some concerns is that they're very sensitive to reduce water quality. Well, every factor around the environment, like damage to the habitat and so on. Some watercourses, nullahs, and confined bodies of water. Some possible sensitive receivers would be the wildlife in the waters, as well as it includes a lot of species of frogs, fishes, and birds. These lives are highly sensitive to habitat loss, basically, and pollution and some physical changes from our wetland park. Some changes in the park could cause something called siltation, which is fine sand clay carried by water, which is required bioengineered banks to avoid clogging in the sewers. And water catchment areas and gathering grounds are the Campton River Basin and the Shampui catchment, which are these connections between both rivers. Some concerns is that they can be easily overwhelmed when it's heavy, there's lots of rainwater, and because the rocks built are waterproof, they won't absorb. So more volume of water would flow and flood the air eventually. So groundwater resources, there's a sponge-like layer, which is called aquifer, which provides moisture for vegetation and controls the water level on the ponds. So main concerns is that if the foundation of our park digs into the layer and just contaminates it, that would destroy the habitat around it, so life could be lost. Marine water resources are some places like deep bays, oyster zones, fishing ponds, and spawn areas. They are all sensitive to nutrient reduction because they have to feed on food in order to live. So if you damage that, then that would cost their lives. Some industries are sensitive to the pollution. Are the neighboring Yunlong industrial estate, production, housing, electronics, and as well as the medicine plants. These industries are really relying on clean waters because they're making microchips that's like very, very small, and they require a clean room in order to do that, or else the particles could contaminate it, as well as the medicinal plants. Some airsheds with limited capacity dispersion, which are the deep bay airshed. The key concern is that the air around is naturally trapped, and therefore you have to you have to disperse it so that the dust from the construction doesn't contaminate as much and build up a high concentration. Areas of conservation value, the targets are the residents and the people who visit. And the main concern is that they're very vulnerable to the habitat fragmentation with like from the fire, 2018 fire, which caused this. Some places of high value, visual value, are some visitors and the resident who lives there, as you can see this beautiful view, and some our construction could block it and make it unnatural. And sites of cultural heritage are some old buildings like the Tong era walled villages. They're weak, old, so the concern is that the construction will destroy it.
I am John Yin. Environmental impact assessment of the Lam Son Wei Wetland Park. These assignments focus on key aspects such as air quality, noise pollution, wastewater, and waste management, all critical to the success of this project. The Lam Son Wei Wetland Park developments focus on enhanced ecological conservation and promote suitable developments through 4 key areas. First, elevates maintenance and mitigation measures are essential to manage dust and emissions generated during construction, ensure good air quality. Second, utilizes quiet machinery and controlling construction will help reduce disturbance to both wildlife and residents. First, implementing effective system for trees, rain off, and wastewater is vital to protect nearby water body and air crystalline life nicely, promoting recycling and purpose disproportions of hazardous materials will minimize the environmental impacts of construction waste. Collectively, this project aims for environmental stewardship, for has ecological balance and suitable developments that benefit both lectures and local communities. Construction activity in the Lam Son Wei Wetland Park developments present survey key environmental impacts. Firstly, the project increased dust and VOC emissions while decreased air quality and pose health risks to working and vulnerable population like children and the elderly, while also humans locate widely second human materials generate significant noise disturbing humans activity and while this particulations particularly during sensitive burden seasons. These continued losses can raise stress level in both animals and residents. This pace wildness. Additionally, there are risks for communications from water and way of as water mixed with construction debris locate water body and accusing life compressive water quality for nearby communities. Lastly, the generation of construction waste health hazardous materials pose management challenge and improving handles can lead to increased levels use and soil and groundwater contaminations in some areas, effectively adjusting their environmental impact. Necessity are practical approach to manage air quality loss, pollution, wastewater, and construction way to promote both to ecosystem and local community. To To adjust this impact, we propose communicate mitigate strategy for environmental penalties during construction. For air quality critical machines include regular water stream and physical borough to minimize use dispersions. In conclusion, air pollution, the environmental impacts of the Lamsang Whirling Park development in critical of success. Early regulations of challenge impel us to improve protective strategy. Unites the benefit both of ecosystem and local community for generations to come.
Okay, thank you, Eddie. So, hi, this is Steve speaking. And in Group A2, I mainly focus on the role and the responsibility of engineering in this project, and also the general layout plan and the construction process flow. And so let's focus on the role and responsibility. According to the HKIE, it mentioned that there's 5 elements that engineers should be possessed in the project, which is the development of Lamson Way. And the first, it is the technology. Like, we have to use our knowledge, like calculating or how the construction materials made to in the project, which make the project more easy to success and safety. And second, the code, which is the law and regulation by the building department and the architecture department. There's so many practice code for the engineer to take a reference, which will be mentioned in this page. The third, the safety. The safety is so important in the site, in the construction industry. We have the duty to make sure all the parties, including the worker, the contractor, even the engineers, to have their safety first, because it is so dangerous in the site. And the fourth, the environmental. We have our duty to protect our environmental, because it is the industry is very high polluted. The concrete, the manufacture of concrete will produce so many CO2. The emission of CO2 is huge, so that's our fourth duty. And the last one is the ethics. We have to make sure the construction materials is be legal, like the river sand. There's some illegal way to transport in Hong Kong, and we have to make sure all the construction materials be legal. Yep, so these are the code of the practice we will use in the development of Lamson Way. The first one is about the critical data about the dead load, which is about the structural safety. The second one is about the foundation. It's also about how to support the whole structure, which the visitor center. The third one, the concrete, of course. The main structure will be built by the concrete due to the well performance of the compressive force. And the fourth, structural use of concrete too. Yep, they are the same actually. They're similar, and other is the grass and the wind. And let's move to this page. Okay, so this is the general layout plan, and this is the rough location of the visitor center of the Lamson Way, and you can see there's 3 elements. The red is the visitor center, showing in the other image. The green rectangle is the pathway and the multi-function room, and the last is the blue rectangle is the multi-function room. The multi-function room is like a lecture hall, or just for people to join there. And the visitor center is take reference as the Wetland Park Visitor Center, so it's basically the functions are similar. And finally, this is the process flow. The key thing is that we will tend to use the prefabrication component, like it can cause less pollution on site. And besides that, we will install the noise barrier while doing the excavation work, because while doing the replacement pile, it will cause so many noise pollution and it will be harmful of the people. in Yuen Long or the wildlife. And this is my part. Thank you. And in conclusion, our group did amazing work and group research in the ransomware.